Creativity sometimes has a different realm. Like, it's not just what's actually happening in real life. It's like where your heart and your mind takes you. This is Roxette Arisa in Making a Portrait. My earliest memory is walking to the park with my dad. So at the time, my dad worked like the graveyard shift. So my mom would be at work all day and my dad would stay home with me and like, you know, hang out with me, and we would write songs together. And I really do still remember to this day just such young times. Like, I was probably like 3 years old, and I remember like spending time with my dad, really quality time. And we'd walk to the park. We would actually go to the Chinese theater a lot. They had matinees. So we would go to the matinees, and then next door was the old spaghetti factory, the restaurant, and we would go there and have their like early bird special like lunch meal, which was like mushroom and mazithra pasta and spumoni ice cream. Spumoni ice cream was always like the end of our like day together. So I think that's why I like sweets so much now. It like reminds me of my childhood. I was actually a figure skater my whole life. I started figure skating when I was 4 years old, and I did it for 20 years. And that, like, when people ask me about my childhood, that was my identity. Like, I was a figure skater, that was me. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know anyone else. I didn't know what life was like outside of my figure skating world. And I did ice dance, so I had a partner when I was skating, and I was always super committed, but I could never find someone. It's like a relationship, right? Like, you have to find somebody that is on that same level as you and has the same goals and everything like that. And I just never found that. And so one day we were, you know, doing really well, going to nationals. We had been top 10 in Canada, and my partner came to me and said, I don't want to skate anymore. So I couldn't find a new partner. Then my coaches just had to basically sit me down and be like, look, we're sorry, you're so committed, and we, you know, admire how committed you are, but this isn't in the cards for you. And that was the biggest heartbreak I've ever had in my life. Like, that was beyond anything. Even to this day, that was years ago now, and even to this day, it gives me chills, because it was just this, it was like a dream, like your dream being taken away from you. And it has nothing to do with you. I played my cards the way that I thought I should. I did everything that I needed to do, and it was out of my control. But I will say that because of that, you know, I turned my focus to YouTube, and it was this like budding passion of mine at the time. And I just kind of like picked it up and was like, okay, since I'm not gonna figure skate anymore, I'm gonna, you know, find something else that I love to do and that I'm passionate about. And I put 100% into my YouTube channel. I ended up moving back here to LA to be with my family, who I'd been away from for so long. And here we are. So I think everything happens for a reason, you know, like, even though it was a struggle for sure at the time. I remember feeling so trapped by this body image perception that I had of myself. I was thin at the time. I went through a couple, I wouldn't say like hardcore eating disorders, but I definitely dealt with instability with like my relationship with food. And there were days where I would just eat like one orange for the whole day because I wanted to stay slim for figure skating. I remember looking in the mirror and just not even really noticing. And then my coach would tell me, like, you know, you need to go on a diet, you're so overweight, you're this, you're that, to the point where I literally had body dysmorphia, and I got super thin, but I didn't think that I was. Like, I thought that I was very overweight, and I was like a rail. So looking back, I would say that that was a big low for me that I had to overcome. Because it was just, yeah, it's just like those thoughts are so ingrained into your mind as a female in general, but especially as an elite athlete. I always wore makeup ever since I was a kid. I think I was like 4 years old, and I asked my mom, like, Mom, can you put on a red lip? Like, I want to feel confident. And for my figure skating competitions, she would do my makeup. But when I was 16 and I moved away, all of a sudden I kind of had to learn how to do, you know, my own makeup for my competitions and stuff. So I actually turned to YouTube, and at the time it was really small. Like, it wasn't like it is today at all. And so I became infatuated with this whole new little budding beauty community on YouTube. And I would spend hours of my days watching YouTube videos, and that's how I learned how to do makeup. And one day I was just like, you know what? I want to do a video of my own. I have extra time. I'm just gonna make a video. So I pulled out my laptop camera. I took a lamp actually and like turned it sideways to light myself because I had like no windows. So I lit myself with a lamp, and that's how my channel started. So as I've gotten older, I think that I define success differently. With my YouTube channel, when I really felt like I was doing something, and even now to this day, when I feel that feeling of success, it isn't about the views, it isn't about numbers, it isn't about likes, it really isn't. And if you base your success on that, it just leads to sadness. For me, it's about feeling like I can impact somebody's life, feeling like I can bring positivity or happiness to someone's life with, me doing my makeup or me showing my outfit of the day. And the moment where I really realized that was at a meetup. I was doing a meetup, and people were lining up to take photos and everything, and this girl came up to me and she was bawling, crying. And she told me, my father passed away from cancer earlier this year, and your videos are the only thing that got me through. And that brought me to tears. Like, I seriously, even now, again, it just brings me chills, because that was such just a moment in my life where I was like, oh my God, like if I can bring that to somebody, if I can get them through a hard time, if I can bring them a smile, that is what it's about. That's what my life is about. That's what my success is about. I think it's really interesting because I get inspired by my followers a lot. Like they'll DM me or they'll message me or comment and be like, please review this next, or please do a look like this. And they'll send me photos, like inspo photos. So that's actually my #1 way. And also I love looking at like red carpets when it's red carpet season and seeing like what, different celebrities are wearing as far as like their dresses or whatever they're wearing on their body or their face, I guess you could say.
What's your favorite song that you've done? That you wrote?
The one that stands out to me most is called Endless. It was about a guy that I had a crush on when I was 15 years old, and he definitely did not, wasn't into me at all. Like, we were just friends, but he would text me, and I, in my mind, created almost this like storyline of like, oh my gosh, we fall in love, we hold hands, we do this, but it wasn't real. It was just in my mind when I was writing this song. It doesn't make sense to people that knew this actual situation because it wasn't real. It was just like a story in my mind, like almost like a make-believe story with this guy that I did really like, but none of it was real. So that's such a special one to me because I do feel like creativity sometimes has a different realm. Like, it's not just what's actually happening in real life. It's like where your heart and your mind takes you. Diversity right now, we're in the middle of a movement. We're in the middle of a reform, and I really do believe that. There's so much more that we have to do. And when I was growing up, I didn't have a role model that looked like me. I always saw, on, different American teens that all looked really similar and they were all beautiful. But I remember having these thoughts in my head of like, I'll never be an actress. I'll never be a singer because I don't look like them. And that was really a big hurdle for me when I had to realize like, it's okay to be myself. But I hope that for younger generations, as an Asian American, people can see me and know that their dreams can come true as well. I think the biggest advice I could give my younger self is to not be afraid to be who you are. I think society tells us, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's not, everything like that. And at the end of the day, as long as you're happy and you're a good person, that is what matters. And I think, especially as women, we get into this almost cycle of trying to do what society tells us to do. And I really think that I found my true happiness when I was proud of myself, when I found that happiness in myself. So, all those years of my adolescence and teenage years and even my early 20s were really hard in that way because I felt like I was always trying to please everyone. And at the end of the day, the only person that you need to please is yourself.